Whew, this place is looking sick, not least because, is that the right saying there? Not least because of this. And who cares? I mean, many of you have seen it now. The build video for this was released a few days back. There are the archerfish just hiding at the back. They're still not completely used to me. I've been moving house, so I haven't been in the studio as much as I'd usually be, but the whole tank is just running absolutely sweet. All the barbs, loving it all. I've been doing a couple of feedings as well, which has been fun. But yeah, nowhere near enough to the point where they actually know who I am. And if you remember a while back, I did an update on the Rainbow Fish River Aquarium you can see here, because loads of the valid died off. It wasn't looking too great. It was dark and gloomy. Yeah, it's really turned around since then. I mean, yeah, look at that. It looks so good, doesn't it? It's actually after lunch now, so the fish aren't as coloured up as they are in the morning, but nowadays they're looking good all the time, and I swear it's because of the environment. Because before, when I didn't have it looking as good as this, like the different setup, they wouldn't have any real colours this time of day, but look at these guys. Wow. Most of the reeds that you're seeing there now are ones that have actually grown back after the ones I cut last time. There's a few dodgy ones still. So like over here, that you can see these ones, they're on their way out. So I could do a bit more pruning, but overall, it's just doing immense. It's flying, and I love that the fish are loving it too. Oh, we've got a few cories out in the foreground. Where's the skunks? Oh, there's one. There he is. Just patiently waiting. They must have come forward because they've seen me leaning over and they think it's feeding time. Most of the time the cories stay at the back, which is fine. You know, we provided an area at the back for them to enjoy, and if they want to do that, they can. And here's another interesting tank as well. This is my Guppy Aquarium, low-tech Guppy Aquarium that I set up a while ago. It did have a really budget light on it, which worked absolutely fine. It worked really well. It's grown the plants to the point where they're at now. I just switched over to a different light, and it's, well, it's another level. So a couple of years ago, Twinstar sent me some lights to try out. I forgot I had it, to be honest. I know, how do you forget you've got a Twinstar light? But I did, and yeah, I found it and I put it on the tank, and wow, what a difference in terms of coloration anyway. Plant growth wise, I've turned down the brightness of it actually, so that it is much more like the brightness of the standard or the cheap light that I had on before. But what the difference is the colours. So look at those red root floaters, even the fish as well, they have a lot more pop to them in terms of coloration. The greens are more green, but the other colours are more vibrant as well, just all over. The colours are so much better. So it's strange, they give different renditions. So that's a Twinstar light. So look at the limnophila up there, right close to the light goes a sort of yellowy colour. But if you come across to the Chihiros, look at the limnophila there. That's the same plant. In fact, that's probably trimmings of that one there. So look, Chihiros, Twinstar. Sometimes it's quite good to have the variation in colours, I think. So you've got the reds, you've got the sort of orangey yellows, and you've got the greens. In the Chihiros, look, everything goes kind of greeny. Some of my Bobitus is dying at the top there. That's because I just had to blast it with CO2 booster just to get off a load of the algae. You can see underneath, these leaves are still really, really good. And it was the same on this side. The algae was this weird, like, moss ball type stuff. It wasn't like stringy, it was just strands. You could, oh, it was really weird, but it's all gone now. And so have the plants with it, but that's fine. Sometimes you've got to sacrifice that. I could trim this up again and it'll all grow back good. But everywhere else, look, is looking fantastic. Colorations of the green, and you still find proper red plants like this Rotala macrandra here, still really vibrant and pink underneath the Chihiros light. So yeah, it's just personal preference, isn't it really? What one you want to go for. So yeah, just coming back to the Guppy tank, I just want to show you a few things because it hasn't been all rainbows and unicorns. That every single tank has its issues, even if they're small ones. But then small ones can go to big ones if you don't correct them quickly. Okay, so I did have an outbreak of hair algae. It was all intertwined in this sort of Halanthium tenulis. Oh, look at me, look, which is carpeting, eh? Look at that runner. That's a runner. I don't know why, but anyone who's into plants, it doesn't matter like how many you've kept or whatever. If you set up a new tank, like this one, and you start seeing runners and runners and runners, and you just get excited because I don't know why. I don't know. It's just plants. Maybe I am the only one. But yeah, oh, hang on. A couple of my baby bristle noses. These were bred by me, and I chose to put them in this tank. Look at the colours on that one. It's like spotted, but kind of gold as well. I don't know. Maybe it's a mix of like a albino or albino and a regular one. But yeah, they got really good markings on them. Look like sort of, I don't know, kind of like rare ones maybe, like a snowball or something. I don't know the names of all these different things, all right. All I know is that they look cool and I like them. The guppies though, guppies are looking so good. I'm really tempted. Where's the rest of you? There you go. I'm really tempted to stick some females in now. It's currently just the sausage fest that we originally started with. They're all still there, accounted for. There we go. Oh, they're over here. A few more. Really good markings. All of them just look great. You're not a guppy, so well, you are. And in this tank, we also have quite a few of the pygmy cories. Oh, there's one. There's one right now. They tend to stay at the back a lot more until there's some feeding. I might just drop some food in the front here so we can see. So I've crushed up some of my aquarian cory pellets because they're so small, they need something smaller, so I just put them in pestle and mortar, just crushed them up a little bit. But now I can sprinkle that in and they should sink. Please sink. They didn't sink because they're light now, hang on. If you put them under the water first and let go, they're in the flow. It's quite a lot of flow actually, but yeah, they're going to settle down in the front. Yeah, there we go. Some will go to the back, but that's all right. Right, we'll give it a few minutes and hopefully there will be little pygmy cories everywhere. Oh, here we go, it's been a few minutes. They're so tiny, I have to zoom right in. There's 1, 2, 3 there. Another one shot to the back as I went close then, somewhere. Any more in the foreground? Everyone's getting their fill now, aren't they? Oh, you are. What are you doing? You're not what we're after. Oh, there's some more. There's another pygmy cory and another bristle nose. So yeah, feeding ground for everyone. There is loads more than that. They'll come out in time. This one's just zoomed out from the back. He knows there's food somewhere, but he's like, where is it? Is it on this leaf? No, it's not on the leaf. Come to the front with your friends. Friends? Where is friends? There is friends. Why here? Oh yeah, of course it's there, because the flow pushed most of it all into that corner and it just sort of went down. Makes absolute sense. Yeah, so I just realised I got so sidetracked there. I started to tell you that we was getting some algae in the front of the tank, some of the wood as well, some real wispy bits of algae on them. How did I get rid of it? Well, I switched over to the Twinstar light at the top. Just wanted to give it a go, and first of all the colours went brilliant, but it also meant I could dim the light a little. It's just a little bit too much light, and I think because we've got such a white foreground, there's like reflection of light as well, so it was too much. Even with the low budget lights, there was still too much light. As soon as I just dialed it back slightly, added a little CO2 booster, which is a form of glutaraldehyde, which basically melts it, it went away and hasn't come back. Sometimes you can use a glutaraldehyde, it clears it, but it comes back because you haven't fixed the source of the issue. The source of the issue was too much lighting, so now we got rid of the algae that was there, and we dropped the lighting level a little bit, but we actually increased the coloration and the look. And yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? And I mean, when you compare it over here to these, you get a lot of greeniness coming from just standard floodlights. So that's 2500 Kelvin, and there's a lot of green. I always leave links to these lights in my description because a lot of people are interested in them. It's a very cheap way of lighting your tank with good power that grows plants. You don't tend to get like an amazing difference in colours though. Now, don't get me wrong though, you don't get bad colours with cheap lighting, that's not what I'm saying. It's just the icing on the cake with the more expensive ones, you know. So the ENDLER aquarium you can see behind me here, there's tons of colour in it. It's a really cheap light. I mean, just look at that. Look at the reds of there, the Ludwigia palustris super red there. It's got a slight sort of orange tinge to it, you see, because we've got lots of wood in this water and I don't do any water changes on it, so it's like the tannins leaching out. But the lighting on this is one of the classic budget ones that I use. This light here cost me, £50 I think, so like $60. It's next to nothing. I bring it right down close so it gets enough intensity, which means that anything up high near the lights gets really vibrant. Down below that is Rotala hra, which many of you know is supposed to be like a bright red plant, but it won't get proper red until it comes up a little bit higher. So I think, to be honest, if I could buy 2 of these budget ones, I think it really would take off. But then I'd probably get algae, so it's a catch-22 because there's no filter. There's a lot of plants, mind you, though, so I still might not get algae. But this tank is doing so well. Not seen any babies yet from the endlers, but it won't be long now, I don't think. A lot of them were young uns when I put them in here, so you can see, like this female here has got dark spots underneath her sort of belly, so she will be carrying babies. Remember, they're live bearers, so they drop babies. They don't drop eggs, they don't scatter eggs. They just give birth, which is awesome. And what a good thing is about this kind of scape as well, as we see an Amano shrimp going to town on that piece of wood. What's good about this scape is there's tons of places for babies to hide, which means we should get a good success rate in terms of, you know, survival and numbers. I was thinking about taking out the females, you see, once they get pregnant, putting them in another tank, but I think they'll be absolutely fine in here. You know, you don't want everything to survive. You want the strongest to survive, don't you? So yeah, I think that'd be a good call. If I come around the side, look, see, there's tons of places in there for hiding, so I think we'll be absolutely fine. So quite a lot of you have been asking for a nice little Timmy update. I can assure you he's doing absolutely fine. I'll show you now. Here he is in his little bog. Look at his shell. He's getting a good size now, so you might notice this stuff everywhere. He absolutely loves stuff. Turtles live in really boggy areas. They get right into all the sort of muck and grime, anything that's fallen in. So I deliberately leave everything that you can see here in the tank, and I don't touch it. I don't touch anywhere on the tank at all, and it gives it a much more natural sort of vibe. So look, some of the ferns die off, and as they do, brand new, beautiful ones emerge or continue to grow, one or the other. But like, look at little things like down on his little basking spot here, or more, this is more like a diving board than anything, because I'll always hear him just launching himself off and jumping in. But yeah, I leave all of that. You can see, look, like all the moss and everything that's growing. I just leave that because it just looks so natural, doesn't it? Why would you remove it? This is a very sort of realistic habitat. He seems to absolutely love it. He's still got his friend. That is the original baby that was born from the group that I had, the only one that survived over the last, I don't know, about a year. But yeah, that's grown from a baby. I guess it just knows not to go near you because you will obliterate it. And because he's such a kind turtle, there's still 2 bristlenose in here with him as well. They were on the front glass just a minute ago, but they've since just run away since I've pointed a camera at them. But yeah, there you go, guys. He's still doing very well. Here he is size-wise nowadays. If you remember, he was the size of my thumb only, the end of my thumb when I got him. He was the runt of the litter, that's why I picked him. And as such, he's still really small. Musk turtles are normally at least double that, like they'd probably sit in my hand. But he just, yeah, he's there trying to eat my finger. Yeah, cool little guy, aren't you, eh? So if you guys remember a few vlogs back, I told you about this tank here, which has got the Vietnamese minnows in. Now, it was completely green. The rocks are still green, but a lot of you told me the only way to get rid of green water would be to put a UV sterilizer in there, and you were right. So yeah, that is exactly what this is here. It's not actually on now, I've switched it off because you can see the water is not green at all. So look at the colours of the fish showing up really, really nicely. The rocks though are green. I could scrub them all, but to be honest, it looks quite cool. And also, I'm going to be changing this scape soon anyway. I have enjoyed it. It was more of an experiment to see if I could get a carpet and plant to grow, like an Iwagumi style scape done without a filter. Well, look, there's a filter running now, and there was a UV filter. So I think possibly I could, but it seems like there is a ton of effort. I've actually got 3 filters technically, and here there's a surface skimmer in the back as well. So yeah, I don't think you can call that a pass, can you? So yeah, look, it didn't work. Doesn't matter. You've got to try things. That's how you learn and move on. I have to say, not a complete failure though, because we have had like carpeting glossostigma, which is not an easy plant to grow without CO2, let alone with no filter as well. The hair grass is fully carpeted, and all of that happened before I put in any filters, so it is possible to do it. And you remember as well, the S. repens we got there, I had to trim loads off last time, but it's all grown back a lot more compact and looking really nice. So yeah, I think it can work. I think we could do an Iwagumi without a filter, but my goodness, it generates some issues. But to be honest though, I'm not too disheartened with it because Iwagumis aren't exactly my favourite kind of like scape to set up. I much prefer, or my absolute favourite I guess, is just like the Guppy one in the other room. There's tons of stems growing, lots of things changing all the time. You know, you've got opportunities to trim it then and use those trimmings for a new tank. I love that. I love being able to pass down from one tank to the next. It's basically free plants, isn't it? Now, don't get me wrong, I can massively appreciate a proper good iwagumi to look at, but as a hobbyist, I get bored of them very quickly. I mean, they're always quite low carpeting plants, and once it's filled in, you know what I mean? I like stuff that's changing quite a bit. It's why I stopped the whole wreathing thing, but to be honest, I didn't really know much about macroalgae back then. If I was to do that again, I'd do the macroalgae thing. I think that's the one that interests me the most, with the odd little bit of coral or whatever. It's basically a planted saltwater tank, isn't it? So yeah, something like that in the future, possibly. The thing is, there's so much work involved with marine, but then maybe not if you've got a tank just full of macro. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Click the like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. See you in the next one.